Star Citizen combines elements of a massively multiplayer role-playing game, a spaceship sim, and first-person shooter, all in a vast, persistent universe.
Thanks, Wendy.
It has a large, loyal fan base.
Previously, we couldn't have done a planet like this before.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. I ended up being a dentist. I always used to fantasize with being a spaceman, and that's what Star Citizen is.
Coming up behind you. Star Citizen is important because it's a Chris Roberts game. Chris Roberts started out the Wing Commander franchise in the 90s. It's almost like he's the George Lucas of space games.
Its fans have invested their own money in a crowdfunding campaign to pay for the game's development.
Star Citizen came around because Chris Roberts wanted to create the ultimate space sim that hadn't existed. He'd made Wing Commander and he wanted to make the biggest follow-up to that.
But I don't want to build any old game. I want to build a universe. I want to build a game I always wanted to build, but I didn't have the tools to do until now.
So when people then saw it, they saw what he was selling, they saw what he wanted to create, they wanted to invest in that.
And invest they have, so far in excess of $250 million, with $37 million raised in the last year alone. All this for a game which is still in the testing phase and isn't a finished product. Star Citizen's crowdfunding began back in 2011.
I'd like to show you something I've been working on.
With development starting in 2012. Since then, the team making the title, Cloud Imperium Games, has grown to 500, with 5 studios in 3 different countries, one of which is here, in Los Angeles. 3 years ago, I visited this building here. It's where they're developing the video game Star Citizen. At the time, it was the most successfully crowdfunded project ever, raising over $100 million. 3 years later, the game is still in development. This is an unusual title in the world of video games because even though the team here is busy still making the game, it is playable and being played by gamers at the moment.
Star Citizen's out, so that's one of the things that I like to remind people of. This game goes out every 3 months, but it's of course in very, very early alpha. So to a degree, they're having the exact same experience as somebody that would be working on another game as like a QA guy or even as a developer. I would say that's probably a reason why it's taking as much time as it is, because to be able to wrap up everything every 3 months so that it's totally playable, totally stable, so that we can release it out to the public is actually a really, really challenging thing.
Last year, 2018, people really felt a difference in Star Citizen. People really got in, they could play the game, they didn't have performance issues like they would because we were streaming things in and out a little bit more aggressively. As a game, for us, the proof's in the pudding.
But this is a game which, from its inception, has proved to be controversial. Since the original Kickstarter campaign, its scale has dramatically increased, becoming a much bigger game in the process.
What began as an ode to Wing Commander gradually grew into this giant, persistent universe. And, that's a very different product.
As a result of changes to the game, earlier this year, Roberts Space Industries, a subsidiary of Cloud Imperium, was taken to court by a backer seeking a refund of almost $4,500, money he'd spent backing the game. A California judge dismissed the case without prejudice due to a clause in the Star Citizen end-user license agreement, which prevents anyone from taking Roberts Space Industries to court for a refund. The games company says it does issue refunds within a 30-day window. This brings us to the issue that seems to have generated the most headlines for Star Citizen. Money.
$250 million sounds like a lot of money. But when you think the movie Avatar cost $237 million to make, and most estimates put GTA 5 are costing $265 million to make, it's not a crazy amount of cash to put into a game if you imagine that that money also covers all the costs of running the business and all the marketing and all the sales effort they put into date.
Reports in the press have appeared suggesting micromanagement of certain aspects of the game's development has contributed to Star Citizen's delays. We've spoken to several former employees at Cloud Imperium. All spoke positively of their time making the game. And although many admit that there have been delays, the sheer size of the project seems to be the main reason for its lengthy development time.
You can never underestimate how difficult it is to both build a studio and a product at the same time. Meaning you spend years creating a studio that's ready to do a AAA title. So I think that also adds to the just the amount of time it's taken to bring this to completion.
To find out where Star Citizen's development is heading, I need to talk to the head honcho, Chris Roberts, and I can do that a bit closer to home, in Manchester, England. From sunny Southern California to grey, wintry Manchester. While development on the game continues, here in Manchester, CitizenCon, which is a convention dedicated entirely to the video game, is kicking off.
Star Citizen wouldn't work without the community. If the community wasn't as it is, it wouldn't be the game that it is. It'd just be any other game out there, just the same as all the others.
People are already way more engaged in this game, which is still in alpha, than they are engaged in games which are, going on for a very long time already.
CitizenCon is where fans and backers of the game can meet each other, as well as the game's development teams. One of the more popular things for the fans here is that they get a chance to see all of the new stuff that the developers have been working on in-game. And they get to see that in here. This is so popular that this 1,200-seater space is standing room only. Take a look at it. It's here, in the midst of CitizenCon, that I catch up with Roberts. We last spoke in 2016. Star Citizen has been in development.
That long ago.
Yeah, for quite some time. It's still being worked on. What's going on?
Well, I mean, we're trying to build a universe at like a level of detail that no one's done before, and so it's taking longer than we were anticipating when we first announced it. Already in our alpha, I would say, if you put up like a lot of the gameplay and the features and locations we do compared to almost any other game, we've got at least as much as they have. It's just our plan is we're like trying to do this huge thing.
One of the aspects of the game which has attracted a lot of attention is the ships.
I'll make this easy for you. Leave now, or we'll kill you.
There are a plethora of different ships in the game, big and small. They can be purchased with in-game currency, or backers can use real cash, which Cloud Imperium says goes towards further development of the game. Rumours are rife of some backers spending thousands on ships.
Drake Interplanetary. We got your back.
But most of the people I meet at CitizenCon have more modest budgets. How much money have you spent so far?
That's only about $75 to $100.
Together, I've probably invested about £250 into the game.
It's maybe like £60 or something like that. Not much than that, really.
There's always exceptions to the rule, though.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't look friendly.
I've spent about $7,900 on the game, which to me is like, I think that's crazy. I've never spent that much money on any game ever, right?
Move and kill, baby, move and kill.
So $7,900.
$7,900 US, yeah.
Now we should say that you are a streamer, so this is your job, this is your living, isn't it?
For sure.
Streaming about this game. So
yeah.
You aren't an average player.
We do these crazy battles. Like, first of all, understanding what we do in the game and what my content bases around is like, so we go in with like 50 players going to war, sci-fi battles. Like, that's what we do.
Somebody's in the backup!
Rexzilla's battles are an example of the community's influence on the game. They've provided the inspiration for the new mass battle game mode, which will be released by the developers called Theatres of War.
Come on, attackers, this is it! Keep pushing!
And although the game has been in development for a significant amount of time, the fans here seem unconcerned at Star Citizen's lengthy gestation period.
I'm a firm believer in do it right.
I'd rather a game like this take its time, build what it needs to build.
Even if it takes a bit longer, the journey is well worth it.
I mean, there was no way in hell I thought that they could still be in business right now without shipping a product, and yet they are. So clearly, I don't know everything. There are people that I think have, for the money they've spent thus far supporting the game, have had tons of entertainment value out of it. It's very binary. I mean, people are either lovers or haters.
There's an awful lot of online negativity around Star Citizen. Why do you think that is?
It's easy to be an armchair quarterback or an armchair developer. People aren't used to, don't really know how much work goes into making these games. I mean, there's been some, stuff on like Red Dead Redemption 2, but that was 7+ years. And, it's a game in a much smaller area that we're doing our game. But it just takes time, and they had thousands of people on it. I mean, it takes time to build games of the sophistication and simulation detail that gamers expect now.
I might just have a gig that I could use you for.
I could take this coffee cup, I could get into my spaceship, I could fly to another planet, wander out in the forest, I could drop my coffee cup in the forest, I could leave and come back a month later, and if someone hasn't taken the coffee cup will still be there.
Well, will you look at that? It worked!
So what's new?
So we're going to be showing a combination of stuff that will be coming with our release at the end of this year. The new planet technology we have, which is much higher fidelity. So the artists paint at a scale where they can sort of paint at a planetary scale, but they're much quicker. So it took them 2 months, because once we switched the technology, everything's on it. So they redid all the planets, all the moons, and also added this new snow planet in 2 months, and all this stuff that previously had taken us about the past 2 years to do. We've been working on dynamic weather, snow, storm, wind. You're walking outside, it's like there's slush on your visor, there'll be slush on your canopy. The other really big thing that we're showing, the first time we're going through a jump point or a wormhole. Basically, as we carry on, we'll be opening up more star systems.
Next year, we've been promised the release of Squadron 42, the single-player campaign aspect of the game. But for now, development continues on the main Star Citizen experience. It seems this game's journey is far from over.